Right now, as you're settling into the comfort of your evening, thousands of meters beneath the ocean's surface, creatures of impossible size are gliding through eternal darkness. Squids with eyes the size of dinner plates, isopods as large as footballs, jellyfish with tentacles stretching longer than blue whales, spider crabs with leg spans wider than cars. This isn't science fiction or prehistoric history. These giants exist right now in the deep ocean beneath us, living by rules that seem to defy everything we understand about size limitations in nature. They grow to proportions that shouldn't be possible, thriving in conditions that would crush most life, embodying a phenomenon that has puzzled marine biologists for over a century: deep-sea gigantism. Perhaps you've seen pictures: a diver holding an amphipod the size of a rabbit when its shallow water cousins are smaller than rice grains, or that famous image of the giant isopod, looking like something from an alien movie, when normal isopods are barely visible to the naked eye. These aren't mutations or freaks of nature. Down there, in the crushing darkness, being giant is normal. Tonight, we're going to descend into Earth's least explored realm, where pressure increases by 1 atmosphere every 10 meters, where sunlight has never penetrated, where the rules of life are rewritten by physics, chemistry, and evolution. We'll discover why creatures grow to monstrous proportions in the deep, what advantages gigantism provides in the abyss, and what these deep-sea giants tell us about the limits and possibilities of life on Earth. So, let your mind sink slowly into the darkness, past the sunlit surface waters, beyond the twilight zone, into the midnight depths where giants reign, and prepare to explore one of evolution's most magnificent mysteries. To understand deep-sea gigantism, we first need to understand the deep sea itself, Earth's largest ecosystem, yet the one we know least about. The deep sea begins where sunlight ends, around 200 meters below the surface, and extends to the deepest trenches at nearly 11,000 meters. This represents over 95% of Earth's living space by volume. Imagine descending from the surface. The first 200 meters, the pelagic zone, is familiar, sunlit, warm, full of life we recognize. But as you descend, the light fades. By 200 meters, you enter the twilight zone, the mesopelagic. Only the faintest blue light penetrates here. The water temperature drops to near freezing. The pressure doubles, then triples. By 1,000 meters, you enter the bathypelagic, the true deep sea. No sunlight reaches here, ever. The pressure is 100 times greater than at the surface. The temperature hovers just above freezing, and yet, this seemingly hostile environment is full of life. Strange, beautiful, and often gigantic life. The conditions here are more alien than anything on land. Pressure. At 4,000 meters, the pressure is 400 atmospheres, equivalent to having a large SUV balanced on your thumbnail. Temperature. A constant 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, barely above freezing. Darkness. Absolute except for bioluminescence. Food scarcity. Nutrients are rare, falling as marine snow from above. Oxygen. Often low, sometimes nearly absent. Space. Vast, three-dimensional, with no barriers. It's in this alien world that we find giants. Let's meet some of these deep-sea titans, the giant squid Architeuthis ducks, the legend made real, growing up to 13 meters long, with eyes 30 centimeters across, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. Their shallow water relatives rarely exceed a meter. The colossal squid Mesonicoteuthis hamiltoni, even more massive than the giant squid, with a heavier body, and armed with rotating hooks on its tentacles. Specimens have been found weighing over 500 kilograms. Japanese spider crab Macrochera camphori, with a leg span reaching 4 meters. It's the largest arthropod on Earth. In shallow waters, most crabs could fit in your palm. Giant isopod Bathynomus giganteus, growing to 50 centimeters and weighing 1.7 kilograms. These are 50 times larger than common isopods. They look like massive pill bugs from nightmares. Giant amphipods. In the deepest trenches, amphipods that should be 1 meters 2 centimeters grow to over 30 centimeters, a size increase of 15-fold. Giant tube worms Riftia pachyptula. At hydrothermal vents, these worms reach 3 meters in length and 4 centimeters in diameter, dwarfing their shallow water relatives. Pacific sleeper shark, growing to 7 meters. These slow-moving giants patrol the deep, somehow thriving in near-freezing water that would kill most sharks. Big red jellyfish, Tiburonia granrojo, discovered only in 2003. This jellyfish grows to over a meter across, with thick, fleshy arms instead of tentacles. Each of these creatures has shallow water relatives that are dramatically smaller. The pattern is consistent. Go deep, grow huge. Humans have wondered about sea monsters throughout history, but the scientific discovery of deep-sea gigantism began in the 1870s with the Challenger expedition. This British naval expedition spent 3 years circumnavigating the globe, dredging the deep ocean for the first time. What they pulled up shocked the scientific world. Creatures of impossible size emerged from the depths. Sea spiders with leg spans of 60 centimeters, when normal ones were thumbnail-sized. Amphipods the size of lobsters. The expedition's chief scientist, Charles Wyville Thomson, wrote, "We seem to have reached a world where the ordinary laws of proportion are suspended, but it wasn't until the 20th century that we began to understand this wasn't random." In 1905, oceanographer Carl Chun noted that deep-sea creatures consistently grew larger than their shallow water relatives. He called it abyssal gigantism, though the term deep-sea gigantism is now preferred. The phenomenon became even clearer with deep-sea exploration technology. Submersibles revealed giants in their natural habitat. Remote cameras captured creatures we'd only seen dead and decompressed at the surface. Each expedition found new giants, pushing the boundaries of what we thought possible. Here's the first mystery. Pressure should make gigantism harder, not easier. At depth, every cubic centimeter of an organism is under crushing force. Building a large body means more volume to pressurize, more structure to support against implosion, more energy needed for basic maintenance. Consider what pressure does to a normal surface organism. A styrofoam cup, lowered to 3,000 meters, returns compressed to the size of a thimble. Air-filled swim bladders collapse. Proteins denature. Cell membranes fail. Most surface life dies instantly at depth. Yet deep-sea creatures not only survive but grow huge. How? The answer begins with a fundamental difference in body construction. Deep-sea organisms don't fight pressure. They equilibrate with it. Their bodies are pressure neutral, filled with fluids and tissues that compress uniformly with the surrounding water. They don't maintain airspaces that would collapse. Their proteins are pressure adapted, functioning normally at pressures that would destroy surface proteins. But this explains survival, not gigantism. Why grow large? One surprising answer involves oxygen and temperature. Cold water holds more dissolved oxygen than warm water. The deep sea's near-freezing temperatures mean oxygen is relatively abundant, despite the lack of photosynthesis to produce it. But here's the crucial part. Metabolic rate decreases with temperature. Cold-blooded animals in the deep sea have extraordinarily slow metabolisms. They need less oxygen per gram of body weight than warm water animals. This creates an oxygen surplus that can support larger bodies. It's called the oxygen temperature hypothesis. In warm surface waters, high metabolic rates limit size. Animals literally can't get enough oxygen to support huge bodies. But in the cold deep, slow metabolisms mean giants can breathe easy. This is why polar seas also show gigantism. Antarctic waters host giant sea spiders, massive sea stars, and enormous sponges. The pattern holds cold water, slow metabolism, potential for gigantism. Paradoxically, pressure might actually help gigantism. High pressure increases the solubility of gases in liquids. Oxygen doesn't just dissolve better in cold water, it dissolves better under pressure. Deep-sea creatures' blood and body fluids can carry more oxygen than surface animals. Pressure also affects buoyancy. At depth, the density difference between organism and water decreases. Large bodies become easier to support. A giant squid that would struggle to support its mass in shallow water moves effortlessly in the deep. Some scientists propose pressure directly affects growth hormones and cellular processes, promoting larger size. The evidence is incomplete, but intriguing. Laboratory experiments show some deep-sea creatures grow larger under pressure than at surface conditions. To understand why gigantism evolves in the deep sea, we need to understand a fundamental biological principle, Kleiber's law. This states that metabolic rate scales to the 3/4 power of body mass. In simple terms, larger animals are more metabolically efficient. A whale uses less energy per kilogram of body weight than a mouse. This efficiency increases with size, double an animal's mass, and its metabolic needs only increase by 75%. This means larger animals need less food per unit of body weight. In the food-scarce deep sea, this efficiency is crucial. A giant isopod can survive months without eating. Its smaller cousins would starve in days. The math is compelling. Grow large, need less food, relatively, survive longer between meals. This creates an evolutionary pressure toward gigantism. In an environment where meals are rare and unpredictable, the efficient giants outcompete smaller relatives. Over evolutionary time, species trend larger. The deep sea is Earth's largest food desert. No photosynthesis means no primary production. All food ultimately comes from above: dead plankton, fecal pellets, and occasional large carcasses drifting down as marine snow. This constant but sparse rain of nutrients supports the entire deep-sea ecosystem. Giants have advantages in this scarcity. Storage capacity. Large bodies can store more fat and nutrients. Giant squids have extensive fat reserves. Giant isopods can gorge on a carcass, then fast for months. Size becomes a buffer against starvation. Feeding efficiency. Larger mouths can consume bigger prey. A giant squid can eat fish that would be impossible for smaller squids. This opens additional food sources. Reduced predation. Size provides protection. Few predators can threaten a giant squid or a large sleeper shark. This means more energy for growth, less for escape. Migration ability. Large bodies can travel vast distances efficiently. Giants can search larger volumes for food, following chemical trails for kilometers to find carcasses. Competitive advantage. When a whale carcass reaches the bottom, giants dominate. They can exclude smaller competitors, monopolizing the resource. Deep-sea giants don't just grow large, they grow slowly and live extraordinarily long lives. This connects to the K-selection strategy in evolution. In stable environments with limited resources, evolution favors slow growth. Late reproduction, few offspring, long lifespan, large body size. The deep sea is the ultimate stable environment. No seasons, no weather, minimal temperature variation. This stability over millions of years has selected for K-strategists, and K-strategists tend toward gigantism. Consider the Greenland shark, a deep-sea giant reaching 7 meters. Recent studies suggest they don't reach sexual maturity until 150 years old and can live over 400 years. This extreme longevity is linked to their size. Larger bodies age more slowly. The giant tube worms at hydrothermal vents can live 250 years. Giant isopods likely live decades. The slow pace of deep-sea life extends everything, including growth, to giant proportions. Bergmann's rule, observed in 1847, states that within a species, individuals in colder climates tend to be larger than those in warmer climates. Originally applied to warm-blooded animals, larger bodies conserve heat better. It also applies to cold-blooded marine life. The deep sea is uniformly cold, creating a global application of Bergmann's rule. But it's not about heat conservation in cold-blooded animals. Instead, it's about the metabolic advantages of size in cold environments. Cold slows chemical reactions. Slower reactions mean slower growth, slower aging, slower everything, but they also mean lower maintenance costs. A large, slow-moving giant can thrive where a small, active creature would exhaust itself. This creates a fascinating paradox. The cold that slows life also enables it to grow huge. Not everything in the deep sea is giant. Understanding why reveals the limits of gigantism. Oxygen delivery. While cold water holds more oxygen, delivering it throughout a giant body is challenging. This is why deep-sea giants often have enhanced circulatory systems. Giant squids have 3 hearts. Many deep-sea fish have enlarged hearts and blood vessels. Structural limits. Even with buoyancy assistance, supporting a giant body requires robust structures. Deep-sea giants often have reinforced skeletons, or like squids, rely on hydrostatic pressure for support. Reproductive costs. Producing eggs or offspring requires enormous energy for giants. Many deep-sea giants reproduce rarely, investing heavily in a few offspring rather than many. Food finding. While giants are efficient once fed, finding food in the vast deep requires energy. There's an optimal size beyond which the energy cost of searching exceeds the efficiency gains. Pressure. Adaptation. While pressure enables some gigantism, it also constrains it. Swim bladders become impossible at great depths. Gas-filled organs collapse. This limits the body plans available to giants. At hydrothermal vents, a different kind of gigantism occurs. Here, chemical energy from Earth's interior supports ecosystems independent of sunlight. Bacteria convert hydrogen sulfide into food. Tube worms, clams, and mussels harbor these bacteria, growing to enormous sizes. The giant tube worm Riftia pachyptila grows faster than any other deep-sea invertebrate, up to 85 centimeters per year. In a few years they reach 2 or 3 meters. This rapid growth is fueled by abundant chemical energy, unlike the slow growth of other deep-sea giants. But this gigantism is localized. Step away from the vent, and the giants disappear. The chemical oasis supports giants. The surrounding desert doesn't. This shows that energy availability, not just temperature or pressure, drives gigantism. The Arctic and Antarctic seas show similar gigantism to the deep ocean. Sea spiders with 30-centimeter leg spans, ribbon worms 50 meters long, sponges 2 meters tall. The conditions are similar to the deep sea: cold, stable, oxygen-rich. But polar gigantism has an additional factor: seasonal plenty. During polar summers, 24-hour sunlight creates massive plankton blooms. This feast or famine cycle favors large bodies that can gorge during plenty and survive scarcity. Some polar giants migrate between surface and deep waters, exploiting both environments. They're giants of 2 worlds, shaped by similar pressures toward gigantism. My first encounter with deep-sea gigantism wasn't in the ocean, but in a museum. The Natural History Museum in London has a preserved giant squid displayed in a specially built case. Standing before it, I couldn't reconcile its size with what I knew about squids. The eye drew me first, larger than my head, designed to capture the faintest traces of light in the eternal darkness. The tentacles, stretching the length of a bus, equipped with suckers lined with chitinous teeth. This wasn't just a large animal, it was an alien architecture, built for a world I'd never experienced. The placard explained, it was a juvenile. Adults grew larger. My sense of scale, formed by land animals and shallow seas, crumbled. How could something so large exist unseen for so long? How many giants lurked in the deep, never to be seen by human eyes? That encounter initiated a fascination with deep-sea gigantism that led me through marine biology texts, research papers, documentaries. Each discovery revealed new giants, new impossibilities made real by the physics of the deep. Studying deep-sea giants is humbling. We've explored more of the moon's surface than our own ocean floor. We know more about distant galaxies than the deep trenches on our own planet. These giants have existed for millions of years, and we've known about them for barely a century. Every deep-sea expedition discovers new species. Many are giants. In 2022, scientists found a new species of giant isopod. In 2023, a potentially new species of giant squid. We're still in the age of discovery for our own planet. This ignorance isn't just about cataloging species. We don't understand fundamental aspects of deep-sea gigantism. Why do some species show gigantism while close relatives don't? What's the maximum size possible? How do larvae transition from surface to deep, growing into giants? Each answer reveals 10 new questions. The deep sea guards its secrets well. Despite their size, deep-sea giants are remarkably fragile. Brought to the surface, they often die immediately. The pressure change destroys their cellular structure. Their proteins denature. They literally melt. Even when kept under pressure, they rarely survive in captivity. We don't understand their needs well enough. Food, temperature, pressure. We can approximate these, but something essential is missing. Some quality of the deep that we can't replicate. This fragility extends to their ecosystems. Deep-sea trawling destroys habitats that took millennia to develop. Giants that grow slowly and reproduce rarely can't recover quickly from disturbance. We're destroying giants we haven't even discovered yet. Climate change penetrates even the deep ocean. Warming water, changing currents, acidification, all affect the giants. Species that survived ice ages and mass extinctions now face human-caused changes happening faster than they can adapt. Every culture with ocean access has legends of sea monsters, krakens, leviathans, sea serpents, enormous creatures rising from the depths. For most of history, these were dismissed as sailors' tales, hallucinations, impossibilities. Deep-sea gigantism validates these stories. The giant squid, once pure legend, is now scientific fact. Sailors who reported tentacles thicker than masts, eyes like dinner plates, battles with whales. They weren't lying or hallucinating. They were reporting encounters with deep-sea giants. This validation has profound cultural impact. If giant squids are real, what other myths might have basis in reality? It's reopened consideration of historical accounts, indigenous knowledge, and maritime folklore. The discovery has also created new mythology. Giant squids feature in modern literature, films, games. They've transitioned from impossible monsters to charismatic megafauna. Children have stuffed animal giant squids. Aquariums have giant squid exhibitions. The mythological has become educational. Deep-sea giants occupy a unique place in human psychology. They trigger both wonder and primordial fear. The combination of enormous size, alien appearance, and darkness-dwelling nature activates deep evolutionary warnings about predators. Horror writers have always understood this. H.P. Lovecraft populated his fiction with giant deep-sea creatures. Modern horror continues the tradition. The deep-sea giant has become a standard monster archetype. But there's equal wonder. Documentary footage of giant squids in their natural habitat draws millions of viewers. People are fascinated by extremes, and deep-sea giants represent the extreme of size, environment, and evolution. This duality, horror and wonder, makes deep-sea giants powerful symbols. They represent the unknown, the alien on Earth, the limits of life. They remind us that nature exceeds our imagination. Deep-sea giants inspire research across disciplines. Biomaterials, giant squid, beaks, harder than steel, yet composed of proteins, inspire new materials. Their suckers, with perfect adhesion at crushing depths, guide underwater adhesive development. Robotics, the movement of giant squids, effortless despite size, inspires soft robotics. Their jet propulsion, tentacle coordination, and buoyancy control are models for underwater vehicles. Medicine, antifreeze proteins from polar giants could preserve organs. Pressure-resistant proteins might treat pressure-related injuries. Slow-aging mechanisms could inform longevity research. Architecture, the structural engineering of giant bodies under pressure, inspires deep-sea habitat design. How does a giant squid support itself? The answers could help humans live underwater. The deep sea contains vast mineral deposits, manganese nodules, cobalt crusts, sulfide deposits. As land resources deplete, corporations eye these deep resources. Mining has begun in some areas. This threatens deep-sea giants directly. Mining destroys habitat, creates sediment plumes, introduces noise and light. Giants that depend on stable environments can't adapt to rapid industrial change. The giant xenophyophores, single-celled organisms growing to 20 centimeters, are particularly vulnerable. They're crucial habitat for other species but grow extremely slowly. Mining could eliminate them from vast areas. We're risking giants we haven't even discovered. Each mining operation could destroy species unknown to science. Giants that took millions of years to evolve eliminated for short-term profit. Climate change affects the deep ocean in complex ways. Temperature. Deep waters are warming, albeit slowly. For giants adapted to near-freezing stability, even small changes matter. Metabolic rates increase, oxygen demand rises, but oxygen availability might decrease. Acidification, CO2 absorption, lowers ocean pH. This affects giants with calcium carbonate structures, some deep-sea corals, mollusks, arthropods. Their shells and exoskeletons weaken. Current changes. Global warming alters ocean currents. The marine snow that feeds the deep depends on these currents. Changed patterns could starve entire regions. Oxygen depletion. Warming reduces oxygen solubility. Combined with increased metabolism, this creates oxygen stress. Giants, with their oxygen transport challenges, are particularly vulnerable. Food web disruption. Surface productivity changes affect what sinks to the deep. Different plankton communities produce different marine snow. Giants adapted to specific food sources might find them gone. The deep ocean has buffered Earth's climate for millions of years, absorbing heat and CO2, but this buffer has limits. We're pushing the system toward tipping points that could eliminate the conditions enabling gigantism. Deep-sea fishing has intensified as shallow stocks deplete. Giants are particularly vulnerable. Slow reproduction. Giants reproduce slowly, mature late, have few offspring. They can't recover quickly from fishing pressure. Bycatch. Deep-sea trawling catches everything. Giants caught as bycatch usually die from pressure change before release. Targeted fishing. Some giants are targeted directly. The Patagonian toothfish, marketed as Chilean sea bass, is overfished throughout its range. Ghost fishing. Lost nets continue fishing. Giants moving slowly are especially vulnerable to entanglement. The orange ruffy, a deep-sea fish, living 150 years, was fished to near extinction in decades. Populations haven't recovered. This pattern repeats with other deep giants. Quick exploitation, slow or no recovery. Studying deep-sea giants has required technological revolution. Submersibles, from Alvin to modern deep-sea vehicles. Submersibles allow direct observation. Seeing giants in their habitat reveals behaviors impossible to deduce from dead specimens. ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, can stay down longer than crewed submersibles. They've captured footage of giant squids hunting, mating, and interacting with their environment. Landers. Autonomous landers with cameras and sensors can observe for months. They've revealed the patience of giants, waiting motionless for days, then explosive action when prey appears. Environmental DNA. Water samples contain DNA from passing organisms. We can detect giants without seeing them, mapping distributions and discovering new species. Telemetry. Satellite tags on giants that surface like sleeper sharks reveal movement patterns. Some travel thousands of kilometers, diving to extraordinary depths. Baited cameras. Cameras with bait attract giants for observation. This technique captured the first footage of giant squids in their natural habitat. Each technology reveals new aspects of gigantism. We're learning not just what giants exist, but how they live, interact, and survive. Sequencing giant genomes reveals the molecular basis of gigantism. Growth genes. Giants often have modified growth hormone genes. Some have duplications that increase growth signals. Others have mutations that delay growth cessation. Metabolic adaptations. Genes for metabolism show cold adaptation. Enzymes work efficiently at low temperatures. Metabolic pathways are optimized for efficiency over speed. Pressure proteins. Unique proteins maintain function under pressure. These pressure-resistant variants could inspire biotechnology. Longevity genes. Giants show adaptations for long life. Enhanced DNA repair. Improved protein maintenance. Reduced oxidative damage. These mechanisms could inform human longevity research. Gigantism syndrome. Some giants show similar genetic changes to gigantism in humans. Understanding these parallels reveals fundamental size control mechanisms. Genomics shows that gigantism evolved independently many times. Different lineages found different genetic solutions to the same environmental pressures. This convergent evolution demonstrates the strong selection for size in the deep. New technology reveals surprising behaviors. Intelligence. Giant squids show problem-solving abilities, learning, and possibly communication through color patterns. Their large brains aren't just for processing sensory input. Social behavior. Some giants are more social than expected. Giant isopods. Aggregate at food sources. Spider crabs form massive molting aggregations. Migration. Many giants migrate vertically, rising hundreds of meters at night to feed. This daily migration, multiplied by billions of organisms, is Earth's greatest migration. Hunting strategies. Giants show sophisticated hunting. Colossal squids use bioluminescent lures. Sleeper sharks approach prey in absolute silence, undetectable until strike. Communication. Deep-sea giants might communicate through bioluminescence, low-frequency sound or chemical signals. We're just beginning to decode these languages. These behaviors show giants aren't just large versions of small creatures. Size enables and requires different life strategies. Deep-sea gigantism challenges our sense of biological scale. We're calibrated to land life, where giants are elephants and whales. The ocean operates on different scales. A blue whale is giant to us but appropriate for the ocean. The ocean is vast, three-dimensional, unbounded. Giants that seem impossible on land are logical in this space. This recalibration is humbling. Our sense of normal, possible, appropriate is provincial. Life explores possibilities we haven't imagined. Giants exist because physics and evolution allow them, regardless of our intuitions. The patience of giants. Deep-sea giants embody patience. They grow slowly, move slowly, reproduce slowly. A giant isopod might wait months between meals. A Greenland shark might swim for decades before reproducing. This patience challenges our temporal perspective. We live quickly, value speed, measure success in growth rates. Giants succeed through patience, efficiency, persistence. They remind us that life operates on many time scales. There's wisdom in this patience. In stable environments, rushing provides no advantage. Better to be efficient than fast, persistent than aggressive. The giants have survived millions of years through patience. Being giant in the deep ocean means isolation. Few of your kind exist in any given area. Mates are rare. Interactions infrequent. This isolation might explain some mysteries. Why are giant squids so elusive? Why do we know so little about giant behavior? Perhaps isolation is inherent to gigantism. The energy requirements mean populations must be sparse. This raises questions about consciousness, loneliness, the subjective experience of being a giant. Does a giant squid, with its large brain and probable intelligence, experience something like loneliness? We project emotions onto giants, but their inner experience remains unknowable. Deep-sea gigantism reveals growth limits. Not everything can be giant. Not every environment supports giants. There are optimal sizes for different niches. This principle extends beyond biology. Economies, cities, organizations show similar patterns. Growth has costs. Efficiency gains plateau. Beyond certain scales, systems become unwieldy. The giants teach us about sustainability. They've found stable sizes, maintained for millions of years. They reach appropriate size and stop. There's wisdom in knowing when enough is enough. We quote Vev. Explored less than 5% of the ocean. New giants await discovery. Trench giants. Each deep trench might harbor unique giants. The Mariana Trench has giant amphipods. What lives in unexplored trenches? Arctic giants. As Arctic ice melts, new deep areas become accessible. Giants adapted to ice-covered seas might be discovered. Seamount giants, isolated seamounts, are island habitats. Each might have endemic giants, evolved in isolation. Abyssal plains. These vast flat areas remain largely unexplored. Giants adapted to soft sediment might cruise these plains unseen. Cave giants. Deep-sea caves, only recently discovered, might harbor giants. Confined spaces might select for different giant forms. Estimates suggest millions of deep-sea species remain undiscovered. If patterns hold, many will be giants. Protecting deep-sea giants faces unique challenges. Invisibility. Out of sight, out of mind. Giants living in darkness don't inspire public support like visible megafauna. Jurisdiction. Most deep ocean is international waters. No single nation can protect giants. International cooperation is essential, but difficult. Knowledge gaps. We can't protect what we don't understand. Basic biology remains unknown for most giants. Economic pressure. Deep-sea resources are valuable. Protection conflicts with extraction interests. Climate momentum. Even if emissions stop today, ocean warming continues for centuries. Giants must adapt or perish. Creative solutions are emerging. Marine protected areas expand. Technology enables remote monitoring. Public fascination with giants grows. But time is short. Future research will reveal. Maximum size. What's the theoretical maximum size for different groups? Physics and biology impose limits we're still calculating. Gigantism triggers. What specific genes control gigantism? Can we predict which lineages will evolve giants? Behavioral ecology. How do giants interact with their ecosystem? Their role in nutrient cycling, population control, habitat creation remains unclear. Consciousness. Questions. Do large-brained giants have consciousness comparable to mammals? This affects ethical considerations. Biotechnology. Applications. Giant adaptations could revolutionize technology. Pressure-resistant proteins. Efficient metabolisms. Longevity mechanisms await application. Climate. Adaptation. How will giants respond to changing oceans? Some might adapt, others migrate. Many will likely go extinct. As we prepare to surface from our deep exploration, consider the weight of water above the giants. At 4,000 meters, every square centimeter bears 400 kilograms. The giants live under mountain weight pressure, yet move with grace. This pressure that would crush us shapes them. It's not a burden, but a defining force. They're sculpted by pressure into forms impossible at the surface. The crushing depth creates them. We too are shaped by pressures, social, economic, psychological. Like the giants, we can be crushed or sculpted. The giants show that impossible pressures can create impossible beauty. The giants live in eternal darkness, yet they've evolved spectacular forms. Giant eyes that will never see sunlight. Elaborate patterns that might never be observed. Beauty without audience. This darkness isn't absence but presence. The presence of different possibilities. In darkness, other senses dominate. Pressure waves, chemical trails, bioluminescence. The giants navigate by different stars. Our own darkness, ignorance, mystery, the unknown, similarly illuminates. It shows us what we don't know, guides exploration, creates wonder. The giants emerged from darkness into our awareness, reminding us how much remains dark. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, giants are moving through the deep, A giant squid rises through the water column, tentacles trailing. A sleeper shark glides along the bottom, sensing prey hundreds of meters away. Giant isopods wait motionless on the seafloor. Their movements are slow, deliberate, patient. No rush in the deep, no urgency in the cold, just persistent motion through vast space. This patience pervades the deep. Giants that live centuries, ecosystems that develop over millennia, evolution that experiments across millions of years. The deep operates on geological time. As sleep approaches, you might feel this deep patience, the slowing of thought, the elongation of breath, the descent into your own depths. You're synchronizing with the giants, entering their temporal realm. In dreams, we often encounter giants, psychological giants representing fears, ambitions, obstacles. But tonight, you might dream of real giants, the deep sea titans we've explored. Spring, you might dream of descending through increasing pressure, your body adapting, growing, becoming giant yourself, moving through darkness by different senses, patient, powerful, profound. Or you might dream from a giant's perspective, the vast empty water, the rare feast, the long solitude, the pressure that holds rather than crushes, the darkness that reveals rather than conceals. These dreams connect you to the largest inhabitants of Earth's largest ecosystem. You're touching minds with aliens on our own planet, giants that challenge every assumption about life's possibilities. Deep sea gigantism reveals the scale of wonder on our planet. We share Earth with creatures that seem impossible, giants that defy our sense of proportion, life that thrives where we would instantly perish. This wonder isn't distant. The deep ocean is here, on our planet, beneath ships and shores. Giants swim beneath cruise ships. Colossal squids hunt beneath fishing boats. The impossible is immediately present. Every glass of water connects to their world. Every tide carries messages from the deep. The giants aren't separate from us, but part of the same system, the same water cycle, the same planet. As you drift deeper towards sleep, consider what is it like to be a giant squid, that massive brain, those enormous eyes, that solitary existence in eternal darkness. Is there consciousness there? Self-awareness? Something analogous to dreams? We'll never know their subjective experience, but the possibility haunts us. Intelligence emerged in the deep before it emerged on land. Cephalopods developed complex brains independently from vertebrates. The giants might think in ways we can't imagine. This uncertainty is beautiful. It preserves mystery. Not everything needs to be known, measured, understood. The giants keep their cognitive secrets, reminding us that consciousness might take forms beyond our recognition. Despite all we've learned, the giants remain mysterious. We know they exist, roughly how they live, why they grow large, but fundamental mysteries persist. How do they find mates in the vast darkness? What triggers their growth to stop at certain sizes? How do larvae survive the transition from surface to deep? Do they dream? These mysteries aren't failures but invitations. Each question opens research directions, philosophical considerations, imaginative possibilities. The giants give us mysteries proportional to their size. Mystery is essential to wonder. Complete knowledge would diminish the giants, reduce them to understood mechanisms, but they resist reduction. They remain giant in mystery as well as size. Imagine descending one final time, past the sunlight zone where familiar fish swim, through the twilight where light fades to memory, into the midnight zone where giants reign. The pressure builds with each meter. Your imagined body adapts, equalizing, accepting the weight. The cold penetrates, slowing your metabolism, extending your patience. The darkness becomes complete, absolute, peaceful. You're entering the giant's realm, not as visitor, but as participant, growing larger as you descend. Time stretching with the cold, senses shifting from sight to pressure, chemistry, vibration. At maximum depth, you encounter them. the giant squid's eye, reflecting your bioluminescence, the sleeper shark's ancient presence, the spider crab's delicate strength. You've become one of them, a giant in the deep. The deep ocean has memory. It remembers temperatures from centuries ago, chemical signatures from ancient currents, just the bodies of whales that fed communities for decades. The giants are part of this memory. They carry evolutionary history in their genes, behavioral patterns from millions of years past, chemical signatures of their ancestors. When we study giants, we're reading ocean memory. Each specimen is a library, each behavior a tradition, each adaptation a record of deep time. This memory predates human civilization. The giants swim before we walked. They'll likely swim after we're gone. We're temporary observers of permanent inhabitants. Pressure created the giants, not despite pressure, but because of it. The crushing force became creative force. Limitation became opportunity. This principle extends beyond biology. Our own pressures, challenges, constraints, difficulties can create rather than destroy. The giants show that impossible conditions can produce impossible beauty. They didn't escape pressure. They incorporated it, made it essential to their existence. They can't survive without it. The force that would destroy us defines them. There's profound teaching here about accepting rather than resisting life's pressures, about growing strong where others would break, about finding your depth and thriving there. Giants seem solitary, but they're part of deep communities. The giant squid depends on deep fish. The fish depend on marine snow. The snow depends on surface productivity. Everything connects. When a whale dies and sinks, it creates an oasis for decades. Giants congregate. Hagfish, sleeper sharks, giant isopods, then specialized communities, bone-eating worms, bacteria, smaller scavengers. The whale feeds the deep for a century. This community extends to us. We're connected to the giants through ocean currents, climate regulation, nutrient cycles. Their metabolism affects ocean chemistry. Their migrations transport nutrients. Their existence maintains ecosystem balance. We're part of the deep community, whether we know it or not. Giants exist in different time. Their cold world slows everything. Heartbeats separated by minutes. Thoughts perhaps by hours. Generations by centuries. This temporal difference means we barely overlap. A human lifetime is a moment to a Greenland shark. Our entire species' history is recent to lineages millions of years old, yet we've intersected. In the last century, an eye blinked to them. We've discovered, studied, threatened them. We're a sudden presence in their permanent world. What do they make of us, if they make anything? Are we perceived as fleeting disturbance, temporary noise in the quiet deep? Or are we below their notice, too quick and small to register? There's healing in contemplating the deep giants. Their patience calms urgency. Their persistence encourages endurance. Their adaptation inspires resilience. They show that life finds ways in impossible places. That beauty emerges from pressure. That size and strength can coexist with fragility and grace. When overwhelmed by human scales of problem and time, remember the giants. They face crushing pressure constantly. They persist through unimaginable isolation. They thrive in conditions that would instantly kill us. Yet they're vulnerable to our impacts. Climate change, pollution, exploitation threaten them. Their strength is specific to their environment. Change the conditions, lose the giants. This vulnerability in strength, fragility in size, teaches humility. Nothing is invulnerable. Everything depends on conditions. The mightiest can fall to the smallest changes. As we rise from the depths of this exploration, feel the pressure decreasing, the weight of water lifting, the concepts decompressing, expanding back to normal proportions. But you're changed by the descent. You've touched minds with giants, felt the pressure that shapes them, glimpsed life at scales beyond normal experience. This change is subtle but permanent. You now know giants exist, that impossible creatures thrive in impossible places, that Earth contains wonders beyond imagination. Knowledge of giants changes perspective. Problems shrink, time expands, possibilities multiply. You've been to the deep and returned, carrying something back. Returning to shallow waters, normal life, human scales, familiar pressures, might feel strange initially. The concerns that seemed large now have context. The giants put things in proportion, but shallow waters have their own value. Sunlight, warmth, visible life, rapid cycles, human connection. The shallow and deep need each other. The giants depend on surface productivity. Marine snow is their foundation. Surface and deep are connected, not separate. Understanding one requires understanding both. You now bridge both worlds in knowledge. You can appreciate the shallow while knowing the deep, value the visible while respecting the hidden. Live in sunlight while aware of darkness. Right now, as you prepare for sleep, the giants continue. A colossal squid hunts in Antarctic waters. Spider crabs march across Japanese seafloors. Giant isopods wait in Gulf depths. They continue regardless of our awareness. Our sleep doesn't affect their hunt. Our dreams don't change their reality. They persist in their deep world, but now you know they're there. This knowledge creates connection. When you see the ocean, you'll think of them. When you eat seafood, you'll consider the deep ecosystem. When you hear about climate change, you'll remember the vulnerable giants. This connection matters. What we know, we might protect. What we imagine, we might save. The giants need us to know them, even if they don't know us. Tonight, your dreams might be giant-sized, vast spaces, slow movements, patient time scales, deep pressures. You might dream in giant proportions, or you might dream of being small in a world of giants, humbled by scale, awed by size. Reminded of your place in the continuum of life. These dreams connect you to something ancient and continuing. The giants have been dreaming, if they dream, for millions of years. You're joining a vast, slow, deep conversation. Let the giants inform your dreams. Their patience, their persistence, their impossible existence. They expand what's possible in dreams, as in reality. As consciousness fades like light in the deep ocean, remember the giant's lesson. Life thrives beyond the light. In darkness, pressure, cold, isolation, life not only persists, but grows magnificent. Your own darkness, sleep, unconsciousness, the unknown depths of mind, might similarly hold giants, dream giants, thought giants, possibilities grown large in the pressure of the unconscious. Trust the darkness, as the giants do. Let it shape you. Grow in ways light wouldn't allow. Become giant in your own deep spaces. The last light fades. The pressure of sleep builds. You're descending into your own depths, where your own giants wait. Our exploration of deep-sea gigantism has revealed more than biological oddities. We've discovered life transcends assumed limits. What seems impossible might just be unexplored. The extreme becomes normal with the right adaptations. Pressure creates as well as destroys. Patience succeeds where speed fails. Mystery persists despite knowledge. Connection exists across vast scales. Earth contains worlds within worlds. These lessons extend beyond marine biology. They inform how we see challenge, possibility, adaptation, persistence. The giants teach by example. For all we've discovered, more remains hidden. Most giants remain unknown to science. Their behaviors, interactions, communications stay mysterious. The full extent of gigantism across species is unmapped. The maximum possible size is uncalculated. The The deep ocean's total biodiversity is unguessed. This hidden knowledge isn't failure, but promise. Discovery continues, wonder persists. The deep keeps its secrets while slowly revealing them. We're still early in understanding our own planet. The age of exploration isn't over. It's barely begun. The giants remind us how much awaits discovery. The deep ocean is eternal in human scales. It existed before us. It will exist after. The pressures that create giants will continue. Evolution will continue experimenting with size. Future giants might be different. There is climate change will select for new adaptations. Some current giants will go extinct. Others will evolve. New giants will emerge. The principle of gigantism will persist. As long as there are deep, cold, pressured spaces, life will explore large sizes. The specific giants change. Gigantism continues. This continuity is comforting. Whatever happens to human civilization, the deep will persist. Giants will swim in the darkness. Life will find its way. You are now connected to the deep giants. This connection is permanent. You carry knowledge of them. They exist in your awareness. This connection extends the human community to include giants. We're no longer just land animals ignorant of the deep. We're becoming aware of our planet's full community. Through you, through everyone who learns about them, the giants enter human consciousness. They become part of our stories, dreams, understanding. The deep and surface worlds merge in awareness. This merger is essential for both worlds' survival. We must know the deep to protect it. The giants must be known to be valued. Connection enables conservation. As sleep finally takes you, you might feel yourself becoming giant, expanding into dream space, growing patient with sleep time, strengthening under unconscious pressure, or you might feel the giant's presence. Vast, slow, patient presences in the deep of consciousness, guardians of the profound, keepers of the impossible. Either way, you're touched by giants. Their existence has entered your existence. Their possibility has expanded your possibility. Their depth has deepened your depth. Sleep now, knowing giants swim in Earth's deep waters. Dream of impossible sizes and crushing pressures that create rather than destroy. Rest in the certainty that life exceeds all limits. We imagine. The giants continue their slow dance in the eternal darkness. You continue your journey into sleep's darkness. Both darkness hold wonders. Both depths create giants. Welcome to the community of those who know giants exist, who understand that impossible is just unexplored, who appreciate that Earth's greatest mysteries swim in its deepest waters. The giants swim on. The deep persists. Wonder continues. Sleep deep. Dream large. Wake. Knowing giants are real. The depth holds giants. The giants hold wonder. Wonder holds us all. The proteins in deep-sea giants are masterpieces of molecular engineering. Normal proteins would denature under the pressure and cold of the deep. But giant proteins have evolved unique structures that thrive in these conditions. Consider the collagen in a colossal squid's tentacles. Collagen normally provides structure and flexibility. But at 2,000 meters depth, regular collagen would become rigid and brittle. The squid's collagen has evolved with additional glycine residues, the smallest amino acid, which creates gaps in the protein structure. These gaps allow the protein to compress and flex under pressure without breaking. The myosin in giant muscle fibers shows similar adaptations. In surface animals, myosin converts chemical energy into mechanical work, powering muscle contraction. Deep-sea giant myosin operates at near freezing temperatures where normal myosin would barely function. The giant versions have evolved with modified active sites that remain flexible in the cold, and additional binding sites that allow them to grip actin filaments more efficiently at slow speeds. Giant squid hemocyanin. Their copper-based blood protein equivalent to our hemoglobin is particularly remarkable. It must capture oxygen in the oxygen pore deep and release it to tissues under enormous pressure. The protein has evolved a quaternary structure with 70 subunits compared to 10-20 in shallow water relatives, creating multiple cooperative binding sites. This allows for efficient oxygen loading even when oxygen is scarce. The antifreeze proteins in polar giants prevent ice crystal formation not by lowering the freezing point like automotive antifreeze, but by binding to nascent ice crystals and preventing their growth. These proteins have flat surfaces studded with threonine residues that match the spacing of water molecules in ice. They essentially create a protein coating on any forming ice, stopping it from growing large enough to damage cells. Deep-sea giants have revolutionized their lipid chemistry. Cell membranes, normally made of phospholipids arranged in bilayers, face unique challenges at depth. High pressure tends to order lipid molecules, making membranes rigid. Cold has the same effect. Rigid membranes can't perform their essential functions of selective permeability and protein mobility. Giants solve this through several mechanisms. First, they increase the proportion of unsaturated fatty acids in their membranes. These kinked molecules prevent tight packing, maintaining fluidity. Some giants have fatty acids with unusual branching patterns not seen in surface animals, creating additional disorder. Second, they adjust their cholesterol content. Cholesterol normally stabilizes membranes, but deep-sea giants use less of it, allowing greater flexibility. Some replace cholesterol entirely with other sterols that provide stability without rigidity. The giant squid's nerve cells face a particular challenge. Neural signals depend on rapid changes in membrane permeability, which requires fluid membranes. The giant axon of the squid, up to 1 mm in diameter, 1,000 times thicker than human axons, maintains fluidity through unique phospholipids with shortened fatty acid chains and increased unsaturation. This allows nerve signals to propagate even in the cold, high-pressure environment. Wax esters in many deep-sea giants serve multiple functions. Unlike typical storage fats, wax esters remain liquid at low temperatures. They provide energy storage, buoyancy control, and even antifreeze properties. The orange roughy is 20% wax ester by weight, giving it neutral buoyancy without a swim bladder. The metabolism of deep-sea giants operates on different principles than surface life. The enzyme systems have evolved to function at low temperatures where chemical reactions naturally slow down. But rather than simply accepting slow metabolism, giants have evolved compensatory mechanisms. Their enzymes have lower activation energies, meaning reactions can proceed with less input energy. This is achieved through more flexible active sites that can accommodate substrates without requiring as much thermal energy for conformational changes. Some enzymes have multiple active sites, allowing several reactions to proceed simultaneously on the same protein. The electron transport chain in giant mitochondria shows remarkable adaptations. The protein complexes are more tightly associated, reducing the distance electrons must travel. The inner mitochondrial membrane has increased folding cristae, providing more surface area for ATP production. Despite the cold, giants can generate sufficient ATP for their needs. Many giants have evolved anaerobic capabilities beyond what surface animals possess. The giant isopod can survive months without oxygen by switching to anaerobic pathways that produce less ATP, but don't require oxygen. They accumulate lactate and other metabolic end products, then slowly clear them when oxygen becomes available. The citric acid cycle in giants operates with modified enzymes that remain active at low temperatures. Some steps that are rate-limiting in surface animals have been bypassed or augmented with alternative pathways. The result is steady energy production, despite the cold. The eyes of deep-sea giants are evolutionary marvels. The giant squid's eyes at 30 centimeters diameter are the largest in the animal kingdom, but size alone doesn't explain their function. These eyes are engineered to detect the faintest traces of light in the deep ocean. The lens is perfectly spherical, unlike the flattened lenses of land animals. This shape provides equal focusing power in all directions, crucial in a three-dimensional environment where threats and prey can come from any angle. The lens is also graded, denser in the center than at the edges, which corrects for spherical aberration. The retina contains only rod cells, no cones. Rods are far more sensitive to light than cones but don't detect color. Giant squids see in black and white, but they can detect light levels millions of times fainter than humans can perceive. Each rod cell is elongated and packed with visual pigment, maximizing photon capture probability. The tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer behind the retina, gives photons a second chance to be detected. Light that passes through the retina without being absorbed is reflected back for another pass. This effectively doubles the eye's sensitivity but reduces visual acuity, a worthwhile trade-off in the dark deep. The visual pigment itself is adapted for deep-sea light. Most deep-sea light comes from bioluminescence, which is predominantly blue-green. The visual pigments of giants are tuned to these wavelengths, with peak sensitivity around 470 to 490 nanometers. 110 badi 1 dak. You can often dak and lack. Some giants have evolved tubular eyes, elongated eyes that point upward. These sacrifice wide field of view for increased sensitivity in one direction. They're designed to detect silhouettes of prey against the faint, downwelling light from above. Giants have evolved exquisite pressure sensing abilities. The lateral line system in deep-sea fish is far more developed than in shallow species. This system detects minute pressure waves in water, allowing giants to sense movement in complete darkness. The neuromast's sensory cells in the lateral line are modified for high sensitivity. They're recessed in canals filled with a gel that has different acoustic properties than seawater. This amplifies pressure waves. The sensory hair's cilia are longer and more flexible than in surface fish, able to detect water displacement of less than a nanometer. Giant squids have statocysts, balance organs that also detect pressure changes. These organs contain a mineralized statolith floating in fluid. As pressure changes, the statolith moves, triggering sensory cells. This allows squids to detect the pressure waves from approaching predators or prey in complete darkness. Some giants can detect infrasound, sound below human hearing range. These low-frequency waves travel vast distances in water with little attenuation. Blue whales use infrasound to communicate across ocean basins. Deep-sea giants might use similar capabilities to find mates or food sources over enormous distances. In the darkness of the deep, chemical senses become paramount. Giants have evolved extraordinary abilities to detect and follow chemical trails. The olfactory organs of deep-sea sharks are particularly impressive. Up to 2/3 of their brain is devoted to processing smell. They can detect amino acids at concentrations of parts per billion, equivalent to a drop of blood in an Olympic swimming pool. The olfactory rosette's smell organs have enormous surface areas achieved through extensive folding. Giant isopods have chemoreceptors not just on their antennae but distributed across their body. They can taste the water they swim through, detecting chemical gradients from multiple points and triangulating sources. This allows them to find whale falls from kilometers away. Many giants produce and detect pheromones for communication. The molecules must be stable in cold water and detectable at extreme dilutions. Some giants produce peptide pheromones that can persist for days, leaving chemical trails that potential mates can follow. The gustatory taste systems of giants are adapted for identifying food in darkness. The barbels of deep-sea fish are covered in taste buds, allowing them to taste test the seafloor as they swim. Some have taste buds in their throat and esophagus, making final food/not food decisions after capture. Some deep-sea giants have evolved electroreception, the ability to detect electrical fields. All living organisms produce weak electrical fields through nerve and muscle activity. In the conductive seawater, these fields extend beyond the body. Deep-sea sharks have ampullae of Lorenzini, jelly-filled canals that detect electrical fields. In the deep sea where visibility is zero, this sense becomes crucial. They can detect the electrical fields of prey buried in sediment or hiding in complete darkness. The sensitivity is astounding. Some sharks can detect electrical fields as weak as 5 billionths of a volt per centimeter. This is equivalent to detecting a DA battery with one pole in Long Island Sound and the other in Jacksonville, Florida. Some giants might use electroreception for navigation. Earth's magnetic field induces electrical currents in moving seawater. By detecting these currents, giants could determine their movement relative to the seafloor, essentially having an internal compass and speedometer. In the vast, dark, deep sea, finding a mate is extraordinarily difficult. Giants are rare, separated by kilometers of empty water. Some species have evolved remarkable solutions. Many giants are simultaneous hermaphrodites, possessing both male and female organs. When two individuals meet, both can produce offspring, doubling reproductive success from rare encounters. This is particularly common in giant deep-sea snails and some fish species. Others are sequential hermaphrodites, changing sex during their lifetime. The giant Pacific octopus starts life as male, then becomes female when large enough to produce and protect eggs. This ensures that small individuals which can't protect eggs well don't waste energy on egg production. Bioluminescence plays a crucial role in mate finding. Many giants produce species-specific light patterns, essentially advertising their presence and readiness to mate. Female anglerfish have luminous lures that attract both prey and males. The pattern and wavelength of light are unique to each species, preventing hybridization. Chemical signaling over vast distances is common. Female giants release pheromones that males can detect from kilometers away. The molecules are designed to persist in cold water and create concentration gradients males can follow. Some species time pheromone release with tidal currents to maximize dispersal. Deep-sea giants show some of nature's most extreme sexual dimorphism. The anglerfish provides the ultimate example. Females grow to over a meter, while males never exceed a few centimeters. The male's sole purpose is to find a female and fuse with her body. Once attached, the male's body degenerates. His eyes shrink, his internal organs dissolve, and his circulatory system fuses with the female's. He becomes essentially a parasitic sperm bank, nourished by the female's blood. A large female might carry several males, ensuring sperm availability whenever she's ready to spawn. This extreme strategy solves the mate-finding problem. Once attached, the male never needs to find another mate. The female has guaranteed sperm access. The energy saved on mate searching can go toward egg production. Giant squids show different dimorphism. Females grow larger than males, reaching 13 meters versus 10 meters. This size difference might reduce competition for food. Different sizes exploit different prey. It also means females can produce more eggs, while males remain more agile for mate searching. Giants typically follow a K-selection strategy, few offspring with high parental investment. This makes sense in the stable but resource-poor deep sea. The giant Pacific octopus exemplifies this strategy. Females produce 20,000 eggs, compared to millions in some shallow species. She guards them for 6 and 8 months, never leaving to feed. She gently cleans each egg, removes parasites, and ensures proper oxygenation. By the time the eggs hatch, she's starved to death, the ultimate parental sacrifice. Deep-sea sharks have different strategies. Some are ovoviviparous. Eggs develop inside the mother, feeding on yolk. Others are viviparous. Embryos receive nutrients directly from the mother. The frilled shark has the longest gestation of any vertebrate, 42 months. This long development produces well-developed young that can immediately hunt. Giant isopods brood eggs in a specialized pouch, marsupium. The eggs are large and yolk-rich. The mother doesn't feed while brooding, which can last months. The young emerge as miniature adults, skipping larval stages entirely. This direct development avoids the dangerous transition between life stages. The deep-sea food web depends entirely on marine snow, a constant rain of organic particles from surface waters. This snow consists of dead plankton, fecal pellets, molted exoskeletons, and aggregated organic matter. It's the primary food source for the deep ecosystem. Giants have evolved various strategies to exploit marine snow. Some, like giant larvaceans, build elaborate mucus houses up to 1 meter across. These structures filter particles from the water. When the filter clogs, the animal abandons it and builds a new one. The discarded house, loaded with concentrated food, sinks rapidly and feeds deeper communities. Giant cenophoriophores, single-celled organisms growing to 20 centimeters, spread themselves across the seafloor to maximize surface area for catching marine snow. They're like living carpets, trapping particles in their pseudopodia. Despite being single cells, they're among the largest organisms at abyssal depths. Sea pigs, giant sea cucumbers process sediment for organic matter. They move in herds across the seafloor, their modified feet allowing them to walk rather than crawl. They can process enormous volumes of sediment, extracting the small percentage that's nutritious. When a whale dies and sinks, it creates an oasis that can support a community for decades. Giants are often the first to arrive. Sleeper sharks and giant six-gill sharks can detect a whale fall from tens of kilometers away. They tear off huge chunks of blubber, consuming hundreds of kilograms in days. Their slow metabolism means this meal can sustain them for months. Giant isopods arrive next, capable of eating 45% of their body weight in one feeding. They gorge until their exoskeleton stretches to its limit, then fast for months while digesting. Their gut bacteria help break down the waxy lipids in whale blubber that would be indigestible to most animals. Hagfish, primitive eel-like creatures, burrow into the carcass. They're the only vertebrates that can absorb nutrients through their skin. Surrounded by decaying whale tissue, they feed by osmosis as well as ingestion. A large whale can attract tens of thousands of hagfish. After the soft tissue is gone, the bones remain. Ozdax worms, discovered only in 2002, specialize in eating whale bones. These zombie worms have no mouth or gut. Instead, they harbor bacteria that dissolve bone and release nutrients. The worms can completely consume a whale skeleton in decades. At hydrothermal vents, a completely different food web exists based on chemosynthesis rather than photosynthesis. Bacteria convert hydrogen sulfide from the vents into organic matter, supporting elaborate communities. Giant tube worms, Riftia pachyptila, have no mouth, gut, or anus. Instead, they harbor chemosynthetic bacteria in a specialized organ called a trophosome. The worm provides the bacteria with hydrogen sulfide and oxygen. The bacteria provide the worm with organic compounds. It's one of nature's most intimate symbioses. These worms grow faster than any other deep-sea invertebrate, up to 85 centimeters per year. In the food-rich environment near vents, the usual constraints of deep-sea life don't apply. They can afford to grow quickly and large. Giant vent clams Calyptogena magnifica use a similar strategy, but with a twist. They have a functional gut and can filter feed, but they also harbor chemosynthetic bacteria in their gills. This dual feeding strategy provides flexibility. They can survive on bacteria alone or supplement with filtered food. Vent crabs grow to unusual sizes, feeding on bacterial mats and smaller vent organisms. Some have evolved heat sensors to avoid getting too close to the superheated vent water. They live on the edge between the chemical riches of the vent and the lethal temperatures at its mouth. Deep sea gigantism has evolved independently multiple times. This convergent evolution suggests strong selective pressures favoring large size at depth. Molecular clock analyses indicate that some giant lineages are ancient. Giant squids diverged from other squids about 100 million years ago, during the Cretaceous. They survived the extinction event that killed the dinosaurs, persisting through dramatic climate changes. Other giants are more recent. DNA evidence suggests giant isopods diverged from shallow water isopods about 40 million years ago. As they colonized the deep, they grew larger with each branching of the evolutionary tree. The pattern suggests that gigantism evolves gradually after colonizing the deep. Initial colonizers are normal-sized but adapted to depth. Over millions of years, selection favors larger individuals. Eventually, giants emerge. Some groups show parallel gigantism, related species independently evolving large size. Deep-sea amphipods have evolved gigantism at least 4 times in different ocean basins. Each time, similar pressures produced similar results. Giant species often have vast distributions but show regional variations. The giant squid was once thought to be a single species found worldwide. Genetic analysis reveals multiple species, each adapted to regional conditions. The Atlantic giant squid differs from the Pacific form in tentacle length, sucker arrangement, and maximum size. These differences evolved in isolation, as deep-sea barriers prevent gene flow between populations. Seamounts act as islands for deep-sea giants. Each seamount might have endemic species that evolved in isolation. The giant corals on one seamount might be distinct from those on another, despite looking identical. Trench giants show extreme endemism. Each deep trench has unique species of giant amphipods. The Mariana Trench amphipods can't survive at the pressure of the Puerto Rico Trench, and vice versa. These giants are prisoners of pressure, confined to narrow depth ranges. Ocean currents create highways and barriers for giant distribution. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current isolates Antarctic giants from other oceans. The Gulf Stream connects Atlantic and Arctic giants. These currents shape the biogeography of the deep. The fossil record reveals that gigantism is an ancient phenomenon. Paleozoic seas contain giants we can barely imagine. Camarasaurus, an ancient nautiloid, reached 11 meters, longer than any modern invertebrate, except the giant and colossal squids. It lived 470 million years ago, when life was still largely confined to the seas. Anomalocarids, the apex predators of the Cambrian, reached 2 meters. For their time 500 million years ago, they were giants, dwarfing most other life forms that rarely exceeded a few centimeters. The Mesozoic seas contain marine reptiles that make modern giants look small. Shonisaurus, an ichthyosaur, reached 21 meters. Predator X, a pliosaur, had a skull 2.4 meters long. These weren't deep-sea animals, but they show that marine gigantism has a long history. Mass extinctions repeatedly eliminated giants, but gigantism always re-evolved. After the Permian extinction killed 96% of marine species, new giants emerged. After the Cretaceous extinction, mammals invaded the seas and evolved into whales. Gigantism is a recurring theme in ocean evolution. Deep-sea giants face unprecedented threats from human activity. Deep-sea trawling, bottom trawling, destroys habitat and directly kills giants. Trawl nets dragged across the seafloor devastate slow-growing communities. A single pass can destroy centuries of growth. Giants, being large and slow-moving, can't escape the nets. Recovery is extraordinarily slow. Deep-sea corals that provide habitat for many giants grow only millimeters per year. A coral destroyed today might take centuries to regrow. The habitat loss cascades through the ecosystem. Pollution. Plastics reach even the deepest trenches. Microplastics have been found in giant amphipods from the Mariana Trench. These particles accumulate toxins and transfer them up the food chain. Giants, being long-lived, accumulate higher concentrations. Chemical pollutants persist longer in the cold deep. PCBs, DDT, and other persistent organic pollutants concentrate in giant tissues. Mercury levels in deep-sea fish often exceed safe consumption limits. Noise pollution from shipping, sonar, and seismic surveys disrupts giant behavior. Many giants rely on sound for communication and navigation. Anthropogenic noise can mask biological signals, interfering with mating and feeding. Climate change impacts. Ocean warming penetrates to abyssal depths. Even small temperature increases affect giants adapted to stable cold. Metabolic rates increase, but food availability might not, creating energy deficits. Ocean acidification affects giants with calcium carbonate structures. Lower pH makes it harder to build and maintain shells and exoskeletons. Giant deep-sea corals are particularly vulnerable. Changing currents alter marine snow delivery. If surface productivity shifts location or timing, deep communities starve. Giants can't migrate quickly to follow food sources. Oxygen minimum zones are expanding. Areas with insufficient oxygen for most life are growing. Giants, with their oxygen transport challenges, are particularly vulnerable to declining oxygen. Protecting deep-sea giants requires international cooperation. Marine protected areas. Some nations have established deep-sea reserves. SPOIT, the Mariana Trench Marine National Monument, protects unique trench giants. The Charlie Gibbs Fracture Zone MPA protects North Atlantic deep-sea communities, but most deep ocean remains unprotected. International waters, areas beyond national jurisdiction, cover 64% of the ocean. Protecting giants here requires agreement among all nations, a challenging diplomatic task. Fishing regulations. Some regional fisheries management organizations restrict deep-sea trawling. The UN has called for protecting vulnerable marine ecosystems, but enforcement in the vast ocean is nearly impossible. Bycatch reduction devices help but aren't perfect. Escape panels and nets allow some giants to escape, but many still die from injuries or stress even if released. CITES listings. Some giants receive protection under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, but enforcement requires identifying species from processed products, difficult for deep-sea species. Understanding giants is crucial for protection. Population assessment. We don't know population sizes for most giants. Are giant squids numbered in thousands or millions? Without baseline data, we can't assess decline. New techniques help. Environmental DNA sampling can detect giants without seeing them. Acoustic surveys can estimate biomass, but the deep ocean is vast, and comprehensive surveys are expensive. Life history studies. Basic biology remains unknown for most giants. How long do they live? How often do they reproduce? What do juveniles need? Without this knowledge, protection measures might miss critical life stages. Connectivity research. How connected are giant populations? Do larvae disperse widely or stay local? This determines whether protected areas can effectively conserve species or just local populations. Climate resilience. Which giants can adapt to changing conditions? Some might migrate to track suitable habitat. Others might adapt in place. Still others will likely go extinct. Identifying vulnerable species allows targeted conservation. The future of deep-sea giants depends on human actions. Optimistic scenario. Increased awareness leads to protection. Deep-sea mining is regulated or banned. Fishing becomes sustainable. Climate change is mitigated. Giants persist and recover. Technology enables better study and appreciation. Virtual reality brings the deep to everyone. Biomimicry from giants provides solutions, encouraging their protection. They become valued for inspiration, as well as intrinsic worth. Pessimistic scenario. Exploitation accelerates. Deep-sea mining destroys vast habitats. Overfishing eliminates giants as bycatch. Climate change accelerates, beyond adaptation capacity. Giants go extinct before we understand them. Ecosystems collapse without their ecological roles. The deep becomes an empty desert, depleted like so many terrestrial systems. Realistic scenario. Mixed outcomes. Some giants in some regions receive protection, others disappear. Climate change causes range shifts and local extinctions, but some adaptation, human impact, continues, but with growing awareness and incremental protection. We lose some giants, but save others. The deep is diminished, but not destroyed. Knowing about deep-sea giants creates responsibility. We can't claim ignorance about the impact of our actions. When we eat deep-sea fish, use products from deep mining, or contribute to climate change, we affect giants. This knowledge is heavy, like the pressure of the deep. It can crush with guilt, or strengthen with purpose. We choose how to carry it, but knowledge also brings wonder. Knowing giants exist enriches our world. Every ocean view includes awareness of giants below. Every seafood meal connects us to deep ecosystems. We're part of something vast and strange. The democracy of darkness. In the deep's darkness, all are equal. No colors matter where light never reaches. Size becomes the primary differentiator. This democracy of darkness has lessons for our light-obsessed world. The giants evolved without concern for appearance. They're often bizarre by surface standards, gelatinous, tentacled, armor-plated, but in darkness, only function matters. They're perfectly adapted to their world. This reminds us that beauty is contextual. What seems monstrous in light might be elegant in darkness. Our aesthetic judgments are calibrated to our environment, not universal truths. Giants teach patience through example. They grow slowly, move deliberately, wait extensively. A giant isopod might wait months between meals. A Greenland shark might swim for decades before reproducing. This patience isn't passive, but active. They're perfectly calibrated to their environment's pace. Rushing would waste energy. Impatience would mean death. In our accelerated world, giant patience is countercultural. They remind us that some things can't be rushed. Some goals require geological time. Some achievements need generations of effort. We end where we began, in the deep, among giants. But now you know them. The giant squid with eyes like dinner plates. The isopod like an armored football. The tube worm like a living fountain. The spider crab with its impossible legs. They're no longer monsters but neighbors. Inhabitants of the same planet. Sharers of the same water that cycles through clouds and rain, rivers and seas. We're connected by chemistry, evolution, and existence. This connection transcends knowledge. It's emotional, spiritual even. The giants have entered your awareness and imagination. They'll surface in dreams, thoughts, conversations. You carry them now. As you drift towards sleep, the giants continue their lives in the deep. Right now, a colossal squid hunts in Antarctic darkness. A sleeper shark glides over an abyssal plain. Giant isopods congregate at a whale fall. They continue regardless of our awareness, our study, our impact. They've continued for millions of years. But now their continuation depends partly on us. We who never visit the deep determine its future. Our choices on land affect the deepest ocean. We're connected across impossible distances and pressures. The giant's fate is our fate. Tonight, you might dream of the deep, of descending through increasing pressure, of growing larger as you sink, of joining the giants in their dark realm. In dreams you can withstand the pressure, breathe the water, see in darkness, grow to giant proportions, experience what giants experience. These dreams connect you to something ancient and continuing. The giants have existed since before humans. They might exist after humans. In dreams you join their time scale. Let the giants guide your dreams, their patience, their persistence, their impossible existence. They expand dream space as they expand reality. We've descended as far as words can take us, into crushing pressure that creates rather than destroys, into darkness that reveals rather than conceals, into cold that preserves rather than kills. The giants have shown us that life transcends assumed limits, that impossible is just unexplored, that Earth contains wonders beyond imagination, that size is relative, patience is powerful, and persistence pays. You now carry knowledge of giants. Use it wisely, share it generously. Protect what you've learned to love. Remember that somewhere below, giants move through eternal darkness, living by rules we're only beginning to understand. The deep continues. The giants persist. The wonder remains. Sleep now and dream of giants.